spirituality and things to be what they are today, I still find it. I'm still amazed at times when I hear people say, "I didn't even know somebody like you existed."
That's interesting. But they do say, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
So, to each in his own time. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's why we have this podcast to kind of like let people know that people like us are out here, and there's a lot more than us,
Fact.
Right.
a lot more than us. Um, and the more you focus on this frequency of vibration, the more you keep finding more, or more keeps coming.
Right.
So it's about realizing that there's other states of consciousness out there, and then once you find that you want to change or shift your environment, your situation, your mind state, it's really holding on to that thought and focusing on it. And as you focus on it, that outsource of energy actually draws or attracts those of like minds to you. The same way that when you focus in noise, confusion, pain, hurt, suffering, degradation, so on and so forth, you draw more of that to you. So, they say it's a law of attraction. Like attracts like. What you focus on, you magnify. So whoever's out there listening, change or shift your focus on what you want. And when I say what you want, I'm not just talking about material things. I'm talking about like your soul, like what's your soul's desire as far as, seeking the face of the creator, whatever that means to you.
Right. Need to ask yourself who you are. Who am I?
You know what?
What I'm here for.
I was reading something um, earlier this week, right? And to a point that Zach was making earlier, he said that there's a shift in awareness, right? And like if you find yourself in this shift of awareness, but you can't identify like what that feeling is, right? Some questions that might come up in your head is like, okay, well, who am I? Why am I here? And what am I put here to do?
Right. The ultimate questions.
They are because like, most of us, myself included, right? I remember for a long time, and even still sometimes today, right? I take things for granted. I try not to, right? But I get caught up in the daily routine.
Likewise.
You know what I'm saying? And it's for me to explain this uh in a very basic way, right? Like, I may be physically present in a space or with other people, right? But I recognize that my spirit is trying to do something else. You know what I mean? It's trying to attune itself to another frequency, and like I can feel it, and it's distinguishable because I've never felt anything like that in my life, right?
Is it describable?
Yeah, so it's like, um for me, certain so like if anybody know me, right? Like I like nice stuff.
Yeah, we know.
I like nice stuff. But um that that's diminishing for me. And I know that's a difference for me because I like nice stuff. You know what I'm saying? I really do. But I was sharing with Zach, last earlier this week. I was like, "Look, yo, listen, you know, if I had to describe something that I really want, I just want to be able to pray uninterrupted within myself. You know what I'm saying? Like without falling asleep or something to that degree. You know what I mean? Those type of things, they've increased in value for me. Whereas before they were important, right? Or they had some level of importance, but not like it is now.
Okay. Now, how do you relate that to family and the family structure?
I think that it's gonna be different for everybody in the family. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know that. Well, I say this: you may have influence on the consciousness of your family members, but you definitely don't control it.
Because they move how they want to move.
Yeah,
And you have to allow them to do it too.
they move according to their conscious progression,
Right.
and I'm just in a place where I gotta really respect other people's conscious progression.
While also respecting yours.
Right.
Because sometimes people, they get to that place and they're so busy respecting everybody else's progression that they neglect their own. So, yeah, in that seeking, it's like seeking for that discernment of, how do I find balance? Because that's what our family is there for. Our family is there to provide us catalysts for our spiritual growth, and also for us to find balance within ourselves and our environment around us.
Right. I mean, and again, like, that's one lane for the family structure and its ties to spirituality and religious sentiments and so on and so forth. That's one lane.
It's like the dynamics keep shifting. It's like when you think you're at a certain place, creator source, higher self, it just sends you a whole new degree of learning.
Right.
For me, it's more like a hermit phase right now.
So you in the shell,
I'm in the shell, in the pocket, as I like to say.
in the pocket.
And just like you said earlier when we spoke, the thought is, okay, I've been accumulating knowledge, information upon information with the intent to get somewhere. Like, but am I losing myself in the present moment and trying to project to this, okay, if I do this and I do that and I read this and I read that and I practice this and I practice that, I'll attain this. But not realizing that it's all right here, right now. It's no definitive line that you cross to get from this point to the next point. It just unfolds because you're technically already there. You're just not aware of it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, it's really now getting to a place of allowing. Just got sent something.
Allowing.
And what I'm saying is, I just got sent something that says powerful habits to change your life. That's interesting. It's random, but it's based on what we're talking about now.
Right.
It's like I'm realizing that habits that I have is based on projecting.
Right.
And now I am focusing on, okay, let me just be still a little bit. And how do I disseminate that to my family or those around me?
Which, it's hard to do because when they have their own lane or way, they take forth their way. Now, not saying that they're listening to the spirit of self or they're moving in their own way that they want to go.
Right.
And it may not be of spirit.
That's interesting.
But it could be, if I want to look at the fourth principle.
Right.
It could be. So when you're to a point of being a hermit, what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
I think that's me anyway, right?
Okay. Right.
I'm always that way. But now I try to find myself getting out, moving a little bit more. Now, I'm always trying to get back home though. You know what I'm saying? I'm always, I might go somewhere and be like, yeah. But I'm always thinking about, I got to get back home.
Because home is where you recharge.
Yeah, right. So when you're in that state or in that place, you're recharging, which you thinking that if I'm recharging other things or anything else that comes around me. Mm-hmm. So when you're starting to recharge things around you, hopefully it changes other people. because, like you say, light attracts light.
And that's what I was gonna say. So like when you out and about, right? Or it's clear to me that there are different stages and different progressions with others. You know what I'm saying? And with ourselves. Right? So I think that as you ascend up, right, at the same time you're ascending up, you also absorb other consciousness based on the spheres that you're in. And that could be the working groups that you're in, the social groups that you're in. You know what I'm saying? It's like going into a place and, and let's just say your light is shining. And as it's shining, I think that you also absorb as well. Hence the reason why, you might want to come back home. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree because I know that's a fact for me.
I got you.
When I go out, and for those of you who understand what I'm saying, you get it. For those of you, we'll talk about it on another podcast. It's like when I go out, I shield myself, I protect myself because I've become in the past couple of years more sensitive, or what's that word? Empathetic.
Empathic, yeah.
Empathic. Like when I get around people or to a space, I could feel people's pain. Let I say, oh, my arm, my hand, and coincidentally, if you want to use that word, I might look at a person and say, is your hand hurting? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I hit it or bumped it yesterday or whatever the case may be. And it's kind of, so I definitely know that sometimes we're going through stuff, we're dealing with our family or not, or whatever the case may be. And you go to places and you think it's random, but sometimes you're actually being sent somewhere.
Right.
So it's very, going back to what O'Kane said, and I'm adding to it, it's very important that you make sure that the environment that you're in, that you live in, or where you reside, is in a state of peace. It's kind of like you guys know Green Lantern superhero.
Yeah.
He's got a battery.
Yeah.
Right, but he's got his ring.
Yeah.
And the only weakness of his ring is really fear.
That's interesting.
Y'all get that?
That's
For those of you watching, I hope you get it. The only weakness that he has is fear. His ring is powered by will. His willpower.
Right.
And it does get drained. And he has to go. He carries around a mobile battery pack, but they also have a whole place that they go to recharge. So I'm saying that to say, like, yeah, we're sent sometimes. We don't know. We think it's random. Oh, I want to go to the supermarket. Oh, I got to go pick up some things. I'm going to go to the mall and just walk around and meet people or whatever. Right. But pay attention to the people that you meet while you're in your travels and the conversation that you have with them.
Right.
And sometimes you feel like, man, I'm tired or I'm drained or whatever. Yeah. And that's how you got to get home.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How did you feel last week?
When we went out,
No, when you came to my house.
Actually, I kind of shielded when I got there. Because when I got there, when I pulled up, I was like, man, I didn't expect this many people.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of like shielded myself and I went in and I just kind of chilled.
Right. Did you sense other
energies? There's a lot of different energies moving around.
Yeah.
One person, I think he saw me, I don't remember his name. He had like a gash in his head.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah. That's Etia's nephew.
Yeah. I was just kind of looking and he looked at me and I just kept looking at him and he was like, "Are you good? You good, bro?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And it's just observing. And he's like, I'm such and such and such. I'm like, I'm Kazak.
Right.
He's all right. Nice to meet you.
Right.
And it was just different energies, feeling it, watching them just flow around you.
Yeah, I know, right? I would do the same thing. Because a lot of times I'm not around them a lot.
Right.
So, but when I come around them, it's interesting. I enjoyed myself.
Right.
I enjoyed myself, but I see certain energies that, I really don't, I'm not going to say I don't dwell with, that, it doesn't attract me to them.
Right. It's a discernment that you get.
Yeah. Not saying that I don't like them or whatever like that. No, I get along with basically anybody.
Right.
If you can't get along with me, it's more likely it's probably my mouth got in the way or something. Because I said something that you may not like, but I still like you. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's almost like, especially when you having stuff at your home,
Mm-hmm.
you have to do a lot of clearing
Yes.
when you know, before and after.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So because certain things just like to hang around, you know, especially when it sees light. When it sees light, it lights that. You know, just it hangs around for a while. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta clear certain things out, you know, when things leave and stuff like that. You know. I know one person was like, I don't know how y'all do it, you know. They were worried about the furniture. I wasn't worried about furniture.
Right.
You know, furniture used to be my thing for years. I don't worry about the furniture. I don't worry about them putting cake on the furniture or whatever. I don't worry about that. Because when y'all leave,
It'd be taken care
believe
of. Right.
I'm in there. I'm doing what I do to if it's messed up. So